Hello Year 10 and welcome to your Geography Masterclass. I hope you are all safe and well. In this Geography Masterclass we'll be looking at our Paper 2 examination, Challenges in the Human Environment, Human Geography basically. And the topic we're going to be looking at is urban change in the UK. Now, the learning outcomes from this lesson, so this is what you need to achieve really to be successful. Okay, so have a look at your target grade and think, can I reach that? How do I reach it? So level 1 to 3 then, learners will have a basic understanding of the social, to do with people, economic, jobs and money, and environmental opportunities, good things, and challenges, not so good things, associated with urban change in Birmingham, and you'll be able to describe them. Okay, now level 4 to 6, rather than a basic understanding, your understanding will become more clear. Alright, and you'll do the same things. You'll look at the social, economic and environmental opportunities and challenges, but you'll begin to explain them. So when you're making points about a particular part of this case study, you'll start to add a little bit more detail using phrases in your sentences such as this means that. Finally, level 7 to 9, rather than just having a clear knowledge, your knowledge will be detailed. Okay, and when we're looking at specific case study examples and opportunities and challenges in Birmingham, you'll be able to evaluate them. So you'll be using phrases such as to an extent, or you'll be looking at the opportunities of an issue, and then in your counter arguments looking at the challenges. Alright, now the big picture, urban change is as simple as it sounds. Okay, it's how has a city changed. Alright, now we use the example of Birmingham. The reason being, Birmingham is just down the road from the school, quite literally, and it's experienced dramatic change. Okay, its population has changed, the ethnicity and the age of the population has changed, society is different now, cultural, there's lots of cultural opportunities that didn't exist in the past. Economy, the types of jobs people do are different. There are massive inequalities in Birmingham, some being extremely wealthy and some being, extremely poor. And we're going to understand these issues, these opportunities and challenges, and be able to apply our knowledge to exam questions. Now, in order for you to get the most out of this session, okay, I'm just going to run through how the session is going to run. Now, the first slides are going to be teaching slides. Okay, so for each of the mini episodes of this masterclass, there'll be a teaching slide, and this will be myself or Mr. Bateau in a video explaining, okay, and providing you with information about a relevant part of urban change in the UK and about Birmingham in particular. Your next slides will be the working slides. Alright, so you'll have a timed exam question from past papers, and the knowledge you've already got, your understanding of Birmingham because you've probably been there, okay, and the input from the videos, you should be able to answer these questions working on a basis of around 1 mark per minute with a little bit of thinking time. The final slides in each mini learning episode are called the assessment slides. Alright, and what I've done is I've put in mark schemes from AQA so you can self-assess your answers. Look what you did well, look what you didn't do quite as well, and potentially any pitfalls you may have fell down, you may be able to rectify these. Okay guys, so this is the first teaching slide. Alright, and we're looking at where do people live in the UK. Okay, so watch this video, take notes if you can, and this will help you for the next mini episode, which will be the working slide. Where do people live in the UK? The population of the UK has been rising for many years. In 2019 it was 66.4 million, however now it's close to 67 million. People do still live in sparsely populated areas such as the Outer Hebrides, which is a rural area located off the west coast of Scotland. However, the majority of people in the UK now live in cities. This is an example of London, the capital city in the UK and England, and it is located in the southeast of England with a population of around 7 million people. This is the capital city of Wales, this is Cardiff, and this has a population of just under 500,000 people. Glasgow is the largest city in Scotland. As you can see, the River Clyde runs through it. Many people have settled here, and the population of this city is 560,000 people. However, the city we'll learn most about is Birmingham, which is the second city in England, located in the West Midlands with a population of 1 million people. Many cities grew because of their history of industrial development and centres for business. Majority of people, whether it be international or national migrants, tended to move to the southeast of the country and lived in cities such as London. The reason being, it is a global hub for business with many headquarters of banks such as Barclays and HSBC. The majority of migrants are economic migrants moving for money and an increased standard of living. However, this is not the only process that goes on in the UK. As people tend to get older and retire, they move to the countryside for a relative peace and quiet style of life, and this is called counter-urbanisation. Okay, so hopefully you got some key information from that. Words such as rural to urban migration, okay, the character of cities and how they change over time, and the factors that cause people to move to and from major cities in the UK. And personally, that guy seems to know what he's talking about. Now, this is your first working slide. Okay, now what you need to do is you can either work on your assignment, okay, so there's an assignment to go with this and you can type directly into the assignment, or you can work on paper. Now this first question is a 2-mark question, so in reality, in real life, you would have 2 minutes of exam time to write on this. Also, if you look at the amount of lines available, they give you generally in AQA 2 lines per mark. The final bit of advice I'll give you for this is read the question really carefully. A lot of people will look at this question and start writing about Chinatown in Birmingham. That's not what it wants you to do. In terms of command, outline means a brief description, borderline basic explanation. Okay, so what you need to do now is pause this video for 2 minutes and attempt to answer that question. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Off you go. Hello guys, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a good go at answering that question. If we look at the mark scheme then, so this is the assessment phase of these mini learning episodes. You can see it says 1 mark for a basic statement, 2 marks for a developed idea. And this developed idea is the outline element of the question. That's the command word. Okay, so when you're outlining, you're going that little bit further. Now, straight away, I would think UK city. I'm going to mention Birmingham in there at some point. And this is the way I would have approached this question. So, migration from elsewhere in the UK means many cities have had to build large new housing estates, and as a result, urban sprawl has taken place. So the city has spread out, and this means that surrounding greenfield sites have had to be built on. Other examples, you could say, as a result of urban sprawl, natural habitats have been destroyed. Other ideas in here are Birmingham is the most popular city for people leaving London, so its population is growing again after recent decline. You could develop that by saying that the local transport infrastructure has had to be developed. They need to put more buses on or build new bus stops, bus stations, anything like that to develop your idea. But if you have talked about international migration, so you've said in Birmingham, because of lots of people moving from China, Chinatown is now developed where people can go and eat Chinese food, etc. You're not going to get the marks. This is a tough question because lots of people straight away think of international migration. And it says if you don't name a city, you can only get 1 mark. Okay, so hopefully you had a good go at that. We're going to move on to the next question shortly. Okay, right guys, so we're now going to look at introducing our case study. This is our big case study of Birmingham. Okay, so urban change in the UK, we're introducing Birmingham. Watch this video carefully, listen carefully. If you can take any notes, even better, and we will apply this knowledge to an exam question shortly.
Okay, introducing Birmingham, which is our case study of urban change in the UK. So Birmingham is located centrally within England, with a population of 1 million people. Regional importance, so it's got the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, a really important hospital serving patients from all over the region. Lots of opportunities for leisure and recreation. So we've got the Bullring Shopping Centre, a massive tourist attraction, but also Star City in Nechells, with lots of shops and restaurants and leisure activities. Birmingham Hippodrome is one of the biggest and most busiest theatres in the UK. Lots of football clubs as well, so Birmingham City Football Club and Aston Villa Football Club, with large stadiums that have been used for global sporting events like the Rugby World Cup. Gravelly Hill Interchange as well, and Spaghetti Junction. This is an example of the national importance of Birmingham, because it has 4 motorways, the M5, the M6, the M40 and the M42, that link Birmingham to the rest of the country. Also an example of Regeneration in 2015, Grand Central opened, lots of shops, lots of restaurants, and also a fully functioning integrated train station. Birmingham Airport is an international airport flying to destinations all over the world. St Philip's Cathedral is an example of Birmingham's rich cultural heritage. Birmingham Business Park, a really sustainable example of how we can build regional economic growth with businesses working together. For example, Greggs have an office there. And finally, Birmingham Science Park, really well connected with Aston University, helping forward the veterinary sector and research in the city of Birmingham.
Okay, so that was an amazing amount of subject knowledge delivered to you in a very short amount of time. So fair play, Mr. Battle. Thank you very much. So, we've done that. So, this next question, nice easy one. The only pitfall I can see people might fall down is they put like Rio because they don't read the question properly. Now, obviously, we're doing Birmingham because this masterclass is about Birmingham. But write the name of the city up there, and then you need to say where it's located in the UK and the importance to the UK. All right. Now, this is one of those beautiful questions that you get 2 minutes to do in the exam, but it takes you less than 2 minutes, hopefully. And that means you can spend more time on the bigger questions. But what I'm going to suggest is, same as before, pause your this video for 2 minutes, and then we'll look at the mark scheme. Okay, guys, welcome back. So, hopefully you answered that question quite easily, to be honest. You're going to have to put Birmingham. For the location in the UK, you would probably get away with writing West Midlands. However, just put West Midlands, England, because remember that there are 4 countries in the UK. So if you just put West Midlands, England, just to be 100% sure. In terms of national importance to the UK, you could have Birmingham International Airport. You could comment on the fact that it's got 5 universities. Birmingham University is a top 10 university in the country, so people come from all over the country to go there, so education. You could talk about other transport infrastructures such as Spaghetti Junction, Gravelly Hill Interchange, cultural centre. You could say people come for miles to visit the Hippodrome Theatre, which I think is the busiest theatre in the UK, or tourism attractions, so maybe one of the science museums or the Bullring Shopping Centre. Other things you could talk about football clubs, the fact that it's got lots of huge stadiums that, you know, people from all over the country come and visit during Premier League matches, well, they did during normal circumstances. And Is there anything else you could add? But there's loads. That's what I was going to say. The 2022 Commonwealth Games are going to be held in Birmingham. So that's national importance. And you could have also had Curzon Street. The old Curzon Street's going to be a stop along the HS2 route for Birmingham. So there's lots of things you could have talked about in that answer. Okay? So, hopefully you did well on that. Moving on, we're now going to be looking at migration and culture in the city of Birmingham. So, as we've done already, this is the teaching phase of this mini episode, Migration and Culture in Birmingham. Watch this video, take notes. Migration and culture in Birmingham. Birmingham is the second largest city in the UK with a population of 1 million people. Birmingham used to be called the City of the Thousand Trades because it had a large industrial base. This has changed the character of the city because national migration encouraged people to move to Birmingham, causing the city to spread out. We call this urban sprawl. It's also culturally diverse due to international migration. If we look at a breakdown of the ethnicities, you can see that 70% of the population is white, 20% is Asian, 5% of people identify as black, and 5% of people identify as other. In terms of distribution, people of Asian ethnicity tend to live in the inner city area of Birmingham. However, people of white ethnic backgrounds live in the north, south and eastern suburbs on the rural-urban fringe. St Patrick's Day is an example of a celebration that takes place yearly in the Irish Quarter. This is an example of the city being changed in terms of character due to international migration. The Balti Triangle is another example of this change, and the Balti Triangle restaurant serves some of the best curries in the country. Chinatown is another example of how the character of Birmingham has changed due to international migration, with Chinatown having shops that sell Chinese food, Chinese restaurants and the all-important karaoke bars. Birmingham also hosts Europe's largest Asian wedding show on a yearly basis. And finally, Cannon Hill Park is visited every year by thousands of Muslims who celebrate Eid. Okay, so again, that guy seems to know what he's talking about. All right, looking smooth as well, Mr. Thicky. So that was talking about migration and culture. A lot of this is due to international migration. So this is different to what we just looked at in the last question. So this is people coming from other parts of the world to the city of Birmingham. Now, this question, again, it's another outline question. Don't worry, we've got some bigger questions coming up. I know you're desperate to answer a 9 or 12 marker. But it says, outline one way that international migration has led to change in the character of a named UK city. Because it's international, I would latch on to one of those examples that I've just given, and how has it changed the character of the city? This is a 2-minute exam question. So as soon as you start, okay, pause this video for 2 minutes and then we'll go to the assessment phase. Alright guys, so hopefully you had a good go at completing that answer. First thing, you've got to mention Birmingham because that's our case study. Alright, people maybe in other parts of the country use other cities, we use Birmingham. The way I would have approached this is, I've mentioned Chinatown about 5 times already. I would talk about migration from other countries, e.g. China. A lot of these people live in similar areas, and as a result, Chinatown's developed. The architecture of the buildings is Chinese in origin, and the culture and the shops around there, they sell Chinese food, and that's how you would access the marks. You could also talk about the language. Okay, so in Chinatown, you're more likely to hear people talk in another language. You could have talked about the distribution of people. So when we looked at the distribution of people of Asian ethnic origin. It was generally in the inner city areas, and it makes sense really. If I was going to move to another country, I would want to move to a place where people, you know, have got the same kind of culture as myself, they speak the same language, and they follow the same traditions. Just make sure you say in Birmingham to start with, especially in a UK city question. You're talking about the international migration and how it's changed the character of the city. All right? So if you need to pause now, you can, just like to improve your answer, but we're going to move on. And we're going to go to the fourth topic. And this is economic, which is to do with jobs and money, opportunities, good things, okay, like jobs being created, and challenges, bad things, maybe high costs of housing or, you know, deindustrialisation, which led to people losing their jobs in our city of Birmingham. Birmingham is the second largest city in the UK with a population of 1 million people. In this video, we're going to be looking at economic opportunities and challenges. First of all, economic opportunities. Birmingham and the surrounding area of the Black Country has had a rich industrial past and a broad industrial landscape. Examples of factories included the Longridge Road factory and the Cadbury's chocolate factory in Bourneville. Also, Birmingham's strategic location in the West Midlands is supported by an integrated transport system that includes Grand Central Railway Station, Gravelly Hill Interchange and Birmingham International Airport. There are a wide range of jobs in Birmingham: manufacturing in the secondary sector, retail in the tertiary sector and research in the quaternary sector. An example of a company who took advantage of Birmingham's strategic location is HSBC, who have developed their headquarters in the city, creating thousands of jobs. HSBC is the 7th largest bank in the world. However, there are also economic challenges in Birmingham, often linked to deindustrialisation. In the 70s and 80s, the Tory government under Margaret Thatcher changed government policy and encouraged people to buy and use cheaper foreign imports from countries such as China. This led to dereliction of factories that closed down, resulting in mass unemployment in Birmingham. Ladywood is an example of an area of Birmingham that is highly deprived and has the highest unemployment rate in the whole country. Another economic challenge is the fact that house prices are in high demand and prices are rising, meaning many people are after social housing, but Birmingham City Council has a shortage of social housing, further adding to the economic challenges of the city. Okay, wonderful. So, you can probably hear the fan on my laptop spinning. It's getting pretty hot inside my laptop at the moment. But economic opportunities and challenges, all right? There are opportunities. There's loads of jobs, and HSBC is a prime example, all right? New office block in the building, modern architecture. This is not particularly economic opportunity, but they've planted trees outside and they use a lot of natural light with the big windows and stuff. But challenges, when the factories closed down, a lot of people didn't really have the skills to work anywhere else other than the factory, because they worked there since they left school. So the fact that they're now unemployed is a massive challenge, and it was a result of deindustrialisation. So, this question, okay, another 2 marker, explain one economic problem caused by traffic congestion. Now you might think, oh, well, there's nothing about traffic congestion in that video. The exam is going to expect you to have a general understanding and be able to apply it to specific things. Now think of Gravelly Hill Interchange, okay, Spaghetti Junction as it's usually called. 4 motorways all converge together there. Okay, so the M5, M6, M40, M42. Now, if there's lots of traffic jams there, what kind of problems is that going to cause? And I know you'll know this because we've done it plenty of times in class, but just think about it. If a lorry full of goods is stuck on the motorway, how is that potentially going to have an economic impact? So again, it's 2 marks, 2 minutes. Pause the video there and have a go at that question. Alright guys, so hopefully you managed to answer that question. The key thing here is to think about the traffic being stopped and the knock-on effects. That's how you get the 2 marks. So if you said lorries are stuck in heavy traffic, it's costly in fuel and driver payments, it will get 1 mark. But develop that. Well, if the company's paying more to the drivers and they've got to pay more for fuel, that's going to have a knock-on effect to the consumer, because to make more money they're going to have to put the price up. Okay, so the price of their goods that they sell will have to go up. All right, that's explaining the economic problem. The other way you could look at it, think about being late to work. If you're late to work, you're stuck on the motorway in your car, you're not at work doing anything. So I don't know, perhaps you worked in a factory. The time you'll spend sitting in your car, okay, is going to be time that you're not working on the production line or whatever it is you do. So again, factories and businesses will lose money. So if you need to pause it now just to improve your answer, you can. But if not, we will move on to learning episode 5. Whoops, move me out of the way. So in this one, we're looking at the environmental opportunities and challenges in Birmingham. Environmental, to do with the planet, so air, water, landscape. All right. Opportunities, good things. Challenges, bad things. So let's watch this video. Listen, take notes. Off we go.
Okay, so Birmingham, we're looking at the environmental opportunities and challenges. So in terms of the environmental challenges Birmingham faces, all started with deindustrialisation. So in the 70s and 80s, government policies meant that lots of factories began to close, but also the influence of cheaper foreign imports led to lots of dereliction in industrial parts of the city. These were often brownfield sites contaminated by industrial waste. Birmingham also has a massive air pollution problem, which has an impact on the youthful population that Birmingham has, meaning that we have some of the highest asthma rates in the whole of Europe. In terms of waste management, Birmingham also struggles as well. So we incinerate just under 50% of our waste, and we are not meeting the city's recycling aims. So the aim is 40%, but we currently only recycle 30%. This is compounded by the fact that the city is growing urban growth or urban sprawl into the rural urban fringe. However, the city has found lots of ways or environmental opportunities to deal with these problems. So regeneration, this one is Brindley Place, a 17-acre regeneration of an old industrial area with shops and restaurants. But also Digbeth, another derelict industrial part of the city with apartments. And this is all part of Birmingham's 20-year master plan, the Big City Plan. Another focus is urban greening, so this is the 7-acre Eastside City Park near Millennium Point. Also the new Birmingham Central Library with a focus on sustainability, urban greening and maintaining biodiversity. The city has also introduced cycle pathways integrated into the environment, the natural environment, and also the surrounding roads. Birmingham also has smart motorways such as the M6, designed to reduce traffic congestion and air pollution, and also the electrified Midlands Metro connecting hard to reach or connecting different parts of the city centre, but a sustainable method of travel. And finally, in terms of waste management, the city is also encouraging people to recycle, reduce, reuse or recover their waste through the use of different colour bins.
Okay, brilliant, Mr. Bato, although you can't hear me. Okay, we're now moving on to a bigger question. Okay, now the question reads, to what extent has urban change created environmental challenges in a UK city you have studied? Now, because it starts with to what extent, it's very easy to write the first sentence in here and get the first mark. But do yourselves a favour, where it says urban change and UK, all right, why not draw a line between those two and above it write Birmingham, West Midlands, 1 million people, all right? Or if you just write Birmingham, be sure to mention those key case study facts in your answer. Then look at the words environmental challenge. Why not make it easy for yourself? Under environmental, draw a little tree, so it focuses your mind on, I've got to write about the environment. And challenges, draw a sad face. Okay? Even if you wrote a couple of sentences, you're going to pick up some marks from this. If you wrote, in Birmingham, there's lots of air pollution, this damages the environment, you're gonna pick up a mark or two, because, you know, that's accurate knowledge, isn't it? But remember, when we're moving through the levels, that's accurate knowledge, but is it clear? Is it detailed? All right. So back to what I said earlier about the first sentence. This question is a to what extent question. My advice for these questions is rewrite the question, and at the end of that question put to some extent. All right. Now, if you put to some extent, you're not tied to one argument or the other. You're on the fence, to think of a better word. So you can write about the good things, then the bad things, and then finally come to a conclusion. So I'll give you the first sentence for free. I would say urban change has created environmental challenges in Birmingham to some extent. All right. And you're going to pick up at least 1 mark for that. Probably 2, because you've answered the question and given the example of Birmingham. Also be aware with this question, it's got spag marks. If you put Birmingham with a little b, you're going to lose a spag mark, or if you don't use full stops. All right? It's about clearly communicating your ideas. So this is a 12-mark question. Now, in the exam, you probably would only have 10 minutes to do this, maybe 11 at a push. But because we're just like practicing and preparing, have the full 12 minutes and try your best to answer this question. So pause the video shortly and have a go at this question, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. So the mark scheme for this question is pretty heavy. It's like 2 sides of A4. All right. What I'm going to draw you to very, very quickly is look at this first part of the mark scheme. Your answer will either fit into level 1, which is 1 to 3 marks, level 2, 4 to 6 marks, or level 3, 7 to 9 marks. And like the learning outcomes at the start of the session, that's basic knowledge and understanding, clear knowledge and understanding, and detailed. All right? I then want to draw your attention to these AL1, AL2, AL3. Now, assessment objective 1 is knowledge. You get an AL1 mark for mentioning Birmingham. You know, why not develop that further? Birmingham, West Midlands, population 1 million people. That is detailed geographical knowledge for this question. So AL1 is knowledge. AL2, it uses the words understanding of how an urban area in the UK creates environmental challenges. In simple words, explain. Explanation. Can you explain why these things have had a negative impact on the environment? And then finally, AL3, or assessment objective 3, that's application of knowledge. Now, in the case of this question, you get 1 mark, AL3, for saying to some extent, because you've answered the question. But the way you get the higher level of marks for AL3 is going into why, linking back to the question. Okay? So you'd say, I don't know, urban greening is good because it creates biodiversity. This means that the challenges in the city of Birmingham can be overcome, and it's not all negative. All right? If we just have a quick look at the second part of the mark scheme, there's loads of kind of indicative content. What that's the examiner speak for. This is what they should be writing about. It's not based on Birmingham, because this exam question could be done by anybody in the UK who does GCSE Geography, but the themes are similar. So, declining 19th century industrial areas, change Toxteth to Birmingham. Alright? Previous industrial areas are frequently contaminated, which presents a challenge in the clean-up costs. For example, derelict factories in Birmingham. More modern challenges might cover the loss of habitats and space in the green belt around, e.g. Birmingham, because the city's spreading because of migration. It talks about waste generated. You could talk about the fact that Birmingham is trying to reduce its waste with recycling schemes. However, we're still not hitting our recycling targets. This final one says, candidates may approach part of the to what extent through arguing that, in fact, urban change creates opportunities. For example, urban greening, regeneration. Alright, so you could talk about Brindley Place being regenerated. The urban greening that's taken place in Eastside City Park. Alright? It's this question, it's a good question, because whichever way you approach it, whether you talk specifically about challenges or opportunities, you're going to get the marks. That's pretty much the answer, but remember there's a bonus 3 marks for this. So it's the final thing I'm going to look at. If you look down here, one mark, spell and punctuate with reasonable accuracy. So if you write a sentence that makes sense, you're probably not going to use capital letters correctly, maybe, but you get 1 mark for that. For intermediate, you've got considerable accuracy. The rules of grammar, okay, add to the quality of your writing. So you use full stops appropriately, commas, maybe even throwing a semicolon, although I'd probably say that's high performance. Using apostrophes correctly. And finally, if we look, the bottom bit here or here, specialist terms. Urban greening is a specialist term, okay? Environmental challenges is a specialist term. Talking about the regeneration in Brindley Place are specialist terms. Alright? This is probably going to require a little bit more time than the other questions to answer. However, it's up to you whether you pause this now or come back to it, I suppose. But just have a look and see what answer what have you written and how could it be improved. Alright, so I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Okay guys, hopefully you managed to self-assess your question on the environmental challenges in Birmingham. We're moving on now to the social opportunities and challenges in Birmingham. Whenever I see the word social, I think of a stick man or a stick lady, and it's anything to do with people. Alright, so most usually we're looking at healthcare, education and quality of life. So if you watch this video and get a understanding of social opportunities and challenges in Birmingham.
Okay, so Birmingham, we'll be looking at social opportunities and challenges. So opportunities first. So Birmingham has 5 universities. The University of Birmingham is in the top 10 in the UK and ranked 87th globally. of all universities, but there are also universities like Birmingham City University, which offer really good vocational qualifications like nursing, midwifery or teaching. Birmingham has a really youthful population with lots of bars and nightclubs, particularly on Broad Street. And also, another social opportunities, lots of people go to the Boring Shopping Centre, 750,000 people visit that shopping centre every week. Also the busiest theatre in the UK, the Birmingham Hippodrome. And another cultural opportunity, or an opportunity for people to experience culture, is Chinatown. Lots of Chinese food shops, restaurants and karaoke bars. The Asian Wedding Show, so every year Birmingham hosts Europe's largest Asian wedding show. And in Birmingham there are lots of areas that are very affluent, or areas where there is high standard of living and quality of life. This is Sutton for Oaks. In these areas people also have a high number of post-16 qualifications, but there are also areas that have extreme or severe deprivation. So the social challenges in the city are found in areas like Ladywood. Ladywood is a region that has the highest unemployment in the whole of the UK. This causes lots of problems for Birmingham City Council. So, for example, there are long waiting lists for social housing. So despite all the social opportunities and the leisure facilities that Birmingham has, there are still 10,000 people that are homeless.
All right, so really good description and explanation there of the opportunities and challenges in Birmingham. What I would say, social inequality is a really important word, okay? Deprivation, people are really suffering in Birmingham, all right, whereas other parts of the city are much more affluent. Okay, whoops. So, another big one, all right. There's no more big ones after this, but I saved them for around the middle of the session, so I know you've been looking forward to them. Anyway, the question says, to what extent has urban change created opportunities in a UK city you have studied? Now, great thing about this question is you can write about any of the opportunities. All right, so you can write about social, economic, environmental. You may want to do a paragraph about each or a bit of writing about each. It is up to you. Same principle, okay? The word urban change and UK city. If you draw a line connecting those two and write Birmingham, that's what I would do if I was sitting the exam. And opportunities, I would put a smiley face. Now, because it doesn't ask for a specific opportunity, you could put a stick man, a dollar sign, and a little tree to let you know that you can write about all of these. Now, I'm not going to go into too much about this again. Hopefully, you know what to do in your first sentence. 9 + 3 for spag, so capital letters, full stop, punctuation, key geographical terminology. Make sure you put it in there. You'd have probably about 11 minutes. We'll say 12. So if you pause the video now for 12 minutes and have a go at answering this question. All right, welcome back. So again, we were going to be looking at the mark scheme in the assessment phase of this lesson. Another monster mark scheme, but it is very similar to the one that you've just looked at. The levels, basic, clear, detailed. Your answer will fall into one of these 3 levels. All right, and as a result, you'll be awarded 1 to 3 marks, 4 to 6, 7 to 9. All right, AO1 will go right to the top. Detailed and precise knowledge of place and processes in urban environments. Do you know where Birmingham is? Do you know how many people live there? Do you know the recycling rates? Do you know the percentage of different ethnicities? That's detailed knowledge. AO2 shows a thorough understanding of how an urban area in the UK provides opportunities. Can you explain the opportunities? That's what AO2 means. And AO3, thorough application of knowledge and understanding to make a thorough judgment. You do that in the first sentence, okay, when you say to some extent or to a large extent, all right? But it's how you link your answers back to the question during that time, which helps. There's loads of things you can talk about. If we look down here, You could talk about migration and the cultural mix. All right. This talks about the Golden Mile and Diwali celebrations in Leicester. But all you got to do is change that to Chinatown in Birmingham, or St Patrick's Day that's celebrated in Digbeth, the Irish Quarter in Birmingham. Recreation and entertainment. Okay, multiplex cinemas. Star City, it's a place where people can go to have fun. Concert venues, or you could talk about the Hippodrome Theatre, large sporting facilities, Villa Park, retail developments, all right, the Bullring. Employment opportunities, you could reference like all the people who work in service sector, in like retail, in the Bullring, or why not use your example of HSBC that set up its headquarters. Moving on to environmental opportunities, urban greening, regenerating wasteland. There's loads of things to write about. In terms of the negative impacts or the challenges, you could still write about those. You could say, although Birmingham's doing all this great stuff, there are still lots of challenges. All right? The people who became unemployed due to industrial decline, closing of factories, they probably are not going to have the skills to work in a headquarters for HSBC. All right? And then you finish your question with your answer with a conclusion and link back to the question, whether you agree or disagree and to what extent. All right? Cool. So, pause for a couple of minutes and just have a go at your answers, and then we will move on to the next video. All right, there's only a couple more left. You're doing really well. Let's keep going. All right, guys, welcome back. So, doing really well, nearly at the end now of this masterclass, which is looking at the whole topic in a day of urban change in the UK with Birmingham. Next, we're looking at urban regeneration. And urban regeneration is basically improving rundown areas. If an old factory looks pretty horrible and it's attracting antisocial behaviour and the land is contaminated, it's not particularly pleasant for a city. All right? So we regenerate it and make it better. So if we watch this video, and same again, take some notes if you can. Urban regeneration in Birmingham. Regeneration in Birmingham. Birmingham is in the West Midlands, the second largest city in the UK with a population of 1 million people. However, Birmingham suffered heavily during the deindustrialisation process when factories closed down in the UK. In the 1970s and 80s, under the Tory government, Margaret Thatcher changed government policy and encouraged companies and people to use cheaper foreign imports from abroad. This led to factory closures and a whole host of derelict buildings, and because they've already been used, this land now becomes a brownfield site. Regeneration, the process of improving rundown areas, has taken place in Birmingham. The first scheme is Brindley Place and the surrounding canals. As you can see from this image, the old industrial landscape was not fit for purpose. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing and it would attract antisocial behaviour. 17 acres were regenerated in one of the UK's biggest ever regeneration schemes, with the canal side being modernised and restaurants such as the Pitcher and Piano or Bar One being encouraged to set up here. More in terms of national significance, you've got the National Silo Centre, which is also set up in Brindley Place. This is a photograph of the old New Street station. This has been modernised, and in 2015, new Grand Central Station opened with its modern architecture and a range of shops and services. Also, the electrified tram route stops directly outside of New Street Station, adding to Birmingham's 21st century integrated transport system. This next example is a photograph of the old Birmingham Library. As you can see, it looks very unattractive and is made entirely of concrete. This was knocked down and the area regenerated with this modern architecture, big glass windows and urban greening helping to regenerate the area. All right, so whistle stop tour of loads of different regeneration projects in Birmingham that will make the natural environment more pleasant for you, the people of Birmingham, and their children, your children, and so forth. Okay. Whoops. Now, this next question, a 4-marker. Okay. I think this is quite a nice question, but when I marked this, I actually marked this for AQA. Lots of people didn't get the marks. All right, and I'm going to tell you, hopefully, how you can get the marks. So it says, study figure 4, showing some information about area X and some photographs of area Y. And then it tells you area X is Granby 4 streets. And it says houses renovated for affordable rent and low-cost ownership. Derelict, houses turned into an indoor garden with glass roof. Sounds awesome. A monthly street market. Okay. Community spirit. And the regeneration scheme won the Turner Prize for art. All right. And then you've got area Y, Viola Street before and after regeneration. So that's just another example. These houses before, you know, if you look really closely, you can see the doors are boarded up, the windows are boarded up. It's not particularly pleasant. All right. Whereas now it's been modernised. Okay. The footpath's been made wider, and so forth. Now, explain how regeneration can help to solve urban problems. Soon as you see the word explain, you should think of the phrase, this means that. Write a sentence, this means that, turns it into an explanation. Using figure 4 and your own understanding. Now, the way I would do this is I would look at figure 4, I would choose something that was maybe bad before, how it's been improved, and how this can help solve urban problems. So, the monthly street market, it might provide jobs for people. That reduces the problem of unemployment. Or houses renovated for affordable rent. Well, it could, you know, the problem of homelessness. All right, people are more likely to afford these properties. This means that. Explaining. Now, and your own understanding, once I wrote a couple of sentences about figure 4, I'd say, in figure 4, write the sentences. I would then say, in Birmingham, and just choose an example of regeneration from the video. 4 marks, this is I'll say a bigger 4-marker. It's a 4-mark question, but because of the amount of figure information for you to read, I'm going to give you a little bit longer. You have got 6 minutes. Start your answer in figure 4, write about it, have a go, pause for 6 minutes, and off you go. Okay then, so we'll have a quick look at this mark scheme. Indicative content, again, exam speak for what you should be looking for. Starts off, answers should make use of figure 4. Alright, so, and that should be clearly referenced in your answer. From figure 4, you could have said, low cost rent and ownership addresses the problem of lower incomes, providing them with housing. Planting and garden schemes will improve the environment in rundown areas. The street markets may help bring communities together. And renovating otherwise derelict housing or improving the appearance of housing will attract people back into the area. So I've written a couple of sentences about that. And then own knowledge will vary based on the example chosen, but similar ideas with another possible theme of employment creation schemes. Okay, so you could have said, in Birmingham, Brindley Place is being developed on a brownfield site. Several businesses have moved into the area, such as All Bar One, and this has created employment. All right, so AO2, geographical understanding and explanation. AO3, interpreting the figure. All right, and applying your knowledge. Okay, so we're nearly at the end of the masterclass now. Hopefully you did all right on that question, and if not, you can use the mark scheme to improve your answers. If you need to pause, you can, but if not, we're going to move on. So we're going to be looking at social inequality in Birmingham. Social is to do with people, inequality, unequal. Some people have more than others. It's a story of the world, HICs, LICs, but it's a story in cities as well. The haves and the have-nots. So watch this video, and then we will move on to a question.
Social inequality in Birmingham. So as we can see, Birmingham has some of England's most deprived areas, and we can see that these areas, from the key we can see that the red or the darkest colour tells us the most deprived areas are in the inner city centre. One example of these areas is Ladywood, with a really poor or low standard of living and low quality of life. A sort of symptom or example of that is it has the highest unemployment rate in the UK, which can be seen to be just over 10% of people claiming unemployment benefit. Generally, there's also poor quality housing stock, poorer quality education and schools as well, which leads to higher absentee rates. That leads to lower aspirations, so people in Ladywood are more likely to work in unskilled, low-paid jobs. However, Four Oaks in the north of Birmingham, contrastingly, is much more affluent. They have a higher quality housing stock, and people are more likely to live in detached houses. People also have more disposable income, which means any education gaps can be closed with private tuition. The education gap being closed leads to people more likely to leave school, college and university with more post-16 qualifications. The disposable income also means that people can invest more money in gym memberships and leisure activities that mean that obesity rates are lower and the life expectancy is higher. Finally, Four Oaks is also a commuter settlement, so people can live outside the city centre but travel into work in the city centre, and they do that using the Birmingham Cross-City line.
Alright, another brilliant video there. Couple of words you might not be 100% sure of. Housing stock is just what type of houses an area has got. Obviously, more affluent areas are going to have a stock of large detached housing, such as Sutton Four Oaks, whereas Ladywood, a deprived area, is going to have a higher stock of maybe high-rise flats or terraced housing. Nothing wrong with either of those, but that's just the reality of housing stock in these areas. So, whoops. Final couple of questions. So you've got a 1 marker and a 4 marker. This graph, it shows GCSE scores along a transect through a UK city. So starting in the centre, moving all the way out to the suburbs. Alright, so if you imagine on the left hand side here is in the city centre, and then the further away you're getting from the city, the inner city and suburbs. Calculate the range, okay? Largest takeaway, smallest. Alright, a lot of maths marks available in geography exam. That's a nice easy one to get you started. Then, using figure 4 in your own understanding, suggest reason or reasons for inequalities in education in urban areas in the UK. Alright? Now, you might be a bit confused because you'll be like, well, in the city centre, surely the GCSE score would be lower. But a lot of money's been invested to ensure that people in cities have got the best opportunities, or at least good opportunities. And also consider, like in city centre in London, house properties are insane, so people are going to be really, really wealthy. But you can see it's the inner city area where GCSE scores are much, much lower. That's probably where I would focus my writing on, and comparing that to the suburbs. Okay, so inner city inequality, e.g. Ladywood, suburbs, affluent area, e.g. Sutton Four Oaks. So write about the graph, start your answer in figure 4, And then once you have explained that, all right, or suggested reasons for that, then you can mention Birmingham. Okay, jump the gun a bit then. 6 minutes, pause here, off you go. Okay, welcome back then. So this is the last mark scheme, and hopefully you have learned something and developed some skills during this masterclass. So very, very quickly go through this. Calculate the range. Largest take away the smallest. So 369 minus 307. The answer is 62. AL4, okay, is basically geographical skills. All right. You don't have to show the working. If you put 62, you get the mark, but I would show the working just in case. Looking at the second part of the question, then the 4 marker, it is a level question. Okay, so you've got basic and clear. No need to get detailed at this stage. If we look at the indicative content, answers should make use of figure 4, all right, which could be clear through reference to the data, all right. So if you'd started your answer in figure 4 and wrote about the figure, you're going to pick up marks there, all right. And your development is going to be explanation, all right. It then says candidates may refer to a range of processes of change and may achieve 4 marks through full development of 1. So you could talk about deindustrialisation, inner city decline, okay, leading to poor education. In Birmingham, in Ladywood, lower aspirations, okay, more absentee, higher school absent, I can't say the word, more children are absent from school, and the most deprived areas, that the parents generally haven't got the money to fill the gap with private tuition. And you could also compare that to Sutton Four Oaks, where because people are wealthier, if there are any gaps in education, the parents can pay for private tuition. People are more likely to go to university and get high level qualifications, and so on. All right, so use the figure and use your own knowledge. That's what it asks you to do. This is the last you're going to hear from me. So if you've been working on your assignments, please can you upload your assignments. Obviously, the more work you've done, the better work you've done, the more kind of, well, you're going to be smarter, basically, but you're more chance of receiving some kind of a award or reward. If you've worked on paper, still attach it to your assignments and hand it in. And again, this will be evidence of all the hard work you have done. All right, so massive thumbs up, fair play. Assess your final answer, and I'll speak with you soon.